You're tall, but I'm standing in front of you.
It's a podcast.
Welcome to You're Tall, but I'm Standing in Front of You, the podcast where two friends circling the drain of academia examine the cultural detritus of the 20th century. I'm Devin.
I'm Ethan.
How's it going, buddy?
Oh, it's going.
Some big news for you today.
Yes.
Tell the folks about it. You got an HDMI cable.
Yeah. I finally bought an HDMI cable. I realized that
So when I come to your house and want to illegally watch basketball, you no longer have to unplug one of your two monitors.
Yeah, this is a big upgrade for me. And I defended my dissertation.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, successfully, might I add.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Couple of doctors here.
Couple of doctors.
Yeah. And so we're interrupting our World War II miniseries, which we are about to sneak preview watch Saving Private Ryan for the third entry in that series.
Wow.
To give you probably the thing you want least in the world right now, which is two PhD holders giving their takes on the Succession finale. Something that there is, I think, PhD holders with takes on Succession might be the thing that we have the biggest surplus of right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, we watched it last night, and so we were like, we're here. I'm in Delaware visiting for Ethan's defense. We were like, why not? Let's talk about it for a little bit.
Why not? Let's talk about it.
Why not? Let's talk Succession. Why not? Let's talk about it. Maybe that should be our new, because we can't really say we're circling the drain of academia anymore, because you have a tenure track job and I do have a visiting assistant professorship. So maybe our new tagline could just be, "You're tall, but I'm standing in front of you."
Yes.
And what the fuck did I say? Why not? Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. To be clear, though, the drain is coming for us all, regardless of anything. But yes, why not? Let's talk about it.
WNT. Wait.
Zurich.
WNLTAI.
Couple of PhD holders. Yeah.
WNLTAI. All right. So the Succession finale. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and we've never talked about Succession, so I think we can also kind of just talk about Succession maybe more holistically too if we want. Maybe just, and Zarek will be barking. It's a feature of the live.
Every live
shows.
episode. That's
Yeah.
The fifth Beatle.
Very, very loose definition of live show on this podcast. Also, we mean we recorded it live.
Less effort into editing show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess maybe we can just start very generally 24 hours removed from the our watching of the finale.
Yeah.
Ethan.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it? How do you feel about the finale specifically? How do you feel about the show overall when you're thinking back on now that it's a total work? How are you going to regard Succession in the sort of pantheon of television shows?
Right.
How did the finale leave you feeling? How did the final season leave you feeling in terms of your satisfaction, terms of,
Who knows that it's complete because, we've seen the tweets that it's set up for AI to take it from here.
Absolutely. AI is going to fill in. They're actually just going to re-release Succession with the AI version where we see what's happening outside of the frame.
Yeah.
And all those stuff.
But they just conveniently avoid hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can finally see how long Cousin Greg's legs are or whatever.
Yeah. I only started watching Succession once this new season was coming out. It just been
interesting.
It had just gotten by me. There's the other shit going on, so I was not.
So you really got to inhale it as a total one single work.
Yeah,
really.
it was just all at once. So that's certainly so. I feel like there's a lot of things that are all just circling around in my head. Where I'm sure if you had years to think about this shit, maybe you have a more coherent vision actually, because you have time to process any of it. It's not and maybe this is the way you should watch it, because I guess every season it always seems to pick up immediately where the past season let off. So maybe that is a perhaps a way to watch through it. I'd be curious about your thoughts about this. Of course, we're all fans of all the characters. We want them to do well.
Yeah, I mean that was I think
Yeah.
my big thing was I was just going into the finale wanting like everybody to win.
Yeah.
Wanting big wins for everybody.
Yeah.
Team Shiv, Team Roman, Team Ken.
Yeah, my boy.
Team Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Team Greg.
Mm-hmm.
Team Carl.
Yeah.
And like.
Well, because they're the titans of industry, and so you want to see them win. It's they're Americans. You want to see like an American success story, and so
I relate to them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I relate to how they like don't really like do anything.
Yeah.
I relate to how like the people surrounding them must be like, what do these people do? Like, why is this guy home all the time?
Yeah.
But
no, but I mean, so. The general idea throughout my mind of the whole show is like they're bad people, but they're also like they don't do anything for the most part. Like there are brief moments of like nefariousness for each of them.
Yeah.
Like they're not good people, but in general, like most people of their class, they're just wandering around. We were talking earlier about how like the big moments of tension are always when they're like shouting out numbers, or they're like, what if I paid more money to buy this thing? Like it's not, there's no actual skill involved in what they're doing. It's
And I mean, I think like this has always been one of my takes on the show, especially I think this is especially true in regards to Kendall, but like especially of the first season, I always felt like it was like the thing about Succession is like each character like thinks they're in a different genre of show. And then like the real genre of the show is kind of exposed by the camera, So it's like Kendall thinks he's in like one of those like he thinks he's in like the movie Wall Street or something, or like, Wolf of Wall Street. Shiv seems to think she's in more of a kind of like West Wing kind of type show.
I was about to say, that's definitely an Aaron Sorkin-esque.
Yeah. I guess Roman is maybe in a little more of like a comedy or something, right? But then like the camera is like reality TV, right? The way the camera, the shaky cam, the way it kind of jerks around and shows like random passerby reactions to things, right? It's like Real Housewives or something. And it's like all of these people kind of think they are protagonists of particular kind of narratives,
right?
But they're ultimately they're as much like just cogs in the capitalist machine as anyone, which isn't to say they don't have better lives, I guess, but they also seem to, I don't know, it just seems like a portal into hell to me, the entire show, right? Because I'm always just asking myself, like, why don't any of these people just retire? Like, it's like,
so that's often, it seems, having just gone through the entire show, there are all these episodes where there's opportunities, of course, for them to just get out, and they never want to. But it gets to the point like that. Originally, was it season 2 when Logan offers Shiv, the CEO, like
that sounds right to me.
Yeah, and the whole time he's doing this, I'm like, but like, why? Why do you want to do that?
Yeah,
which maybe is the whole point of it. That like. Maybe they want to do that because that's just a thing to do. It's not like they have any actual wants with regard to the whole business endeavor. It would just be like a thing to do. To occupy them.
Well, and it's interesting because it's like, we were kind of making fun of it earlier, right? But a big issue with this show, especially lately, has been all this annoying discourse about it, and this ideas of like, both the people that are like rooting for particular characters, but also like the academics who are like shaking their fingers at people being like, oh, well, the show is bad if people can relate to the characters. And I'm like, I don't know. I think that's pretty, a weird way to read a show. Like, like they should make a show where like it's completely unenjoyable to watch and you never relate to any character in any small emotional moment. And then they're all just like, the Monopoly Man cartoon or something.
Well, and like, because again, there is all of this. If you read between the lines, you like look at what's going on with this. You like you get the sense of like how they are not good people, and it's coherent and it's smart. It's like when you compare it to something like The Joker, just to give you an example of a film where a lot of other people are gonna like The Joker, but it's also like what was the Joker up against in that film? Like this vague idea of like they're not taking out the garbage because they don't like rich people. Like there's no, it just makes it's incoherent. So people fall into that like, oh, the Joker's actually cool, sort of vibe. And like, I guess maybe you could argue that because of the sloppy work of the plot of those sorts of movies, maybe people come out not understanding what an anti-hero is these days. And like, and I also think there's an issue in Hollywood where everybody is an anti-hero these days in these big films. But Succession is actually smart where like if you're paying any attention, it should be obvious.
Yeah.
But,
and I think it's kind of about this whole issue of identification somewhat, right? Because like Shiv in some ways, for example, is very obviously this sort of like hashtag girl boss archetype, right? But if you ignore all of her like self-styling and self-fashioning, the way she talks, the way she presents herself, the way viewers identify with her, and you're like, what is Shiv's arc, right? And I'm kind of, I want to give credit to former guest Dan Malinowski, who was on our Demons episode, who kind of articulated this to me. But, her arc is she fucks over, like, the fictional analog of Bernie Sanders, and then is like, oh, I could run Fox News. Like, that's essentially her arc, right?
Yeah.
But yet, she is still able, and I think this is something this show is kind of, like, is saying about, like, our contemporary world, right? Is that someone can do that can be what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Like, that could be the material actions you're taking, and you still get to, in the, like, media space of, like, digital capitalism and social media world, identify as, like, a girl boss archetype, right?
Yeah.
Or, like, Kendall gets to self-identify as, like, a, slick Wall Street guy, even though he has no actual business acumen, or, like, etc., right? Like, Roman gets to self-identify as, like, the sardonic, doesn't give a fuck guy, even though he's, like, the most, like, emotionally volatile, probably, and, like, the most unable to, like, deal with those emotions, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's kind of about the whole problem of these sort of like public identities we create in fashion, and how they don't actually have to be logically commensurate with the material actions we take in the world. And that, like, the media sphere that we exist in, that Succession is obviously so concerned with, because it's about a media company, right, enables. Right? Like, I can do all my, like, fucking tweets about X, Y, or Z in my beliefs, but it's like, I'm mostly, like, fucking, like, sitting in my house playing Zelda or whatever. I'm not, like, going out, like, getting arrested. So what the fuck does it matter if I'm like, oh, I'm a leftist or whatever,
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, the other side of it, like you were speaking to, is there are these people who, like, are on, like, Team Shiv, or, that sort of were rooting for one or the other. And to me, I guess there's almost a little problem of the Fight Club problem, where people associate Tyler Durden as, like, a hero, have 20 years removed from when that film came out. 25 years, a while.
1999, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so and again, like, I think that's a film that, I haven't watched it in quite a while, but I think, like, was an interesting film in that regard. But again, people just totally miss the point where they're like, oh, that guy's cool, Fight Clubs. And I think there are certainly people that have watched Succession, and it's done very subtly in a lot of ways with the directions. And so I could see them also being disappointed in this finale because they were hoping for some sort of win, I guess. But like it can't happen. You're not going to have all of the buildings blowing up like at the end of Fight Club, You're just going to have things are going to continue. And so the show ended, and how it had to happen to sort of show how, like, this terrible thing that is the entirety of this whole system is going to just trod on.
Absolutely.
Fuck all the characters. They do not matter. It's going to keep,
And I think it's so important, right? That's why, like, among other things, we don't actually ever get, we do not know who the president is going to be, right?
Sure.
That's left ambiguous. The person who ends up being in charge of Waystar is not a Roy, right? Tom. Greg is the only like blood relation who I think is still going to be involved in the company. And that seems to be more of a product of his weird psychosexual relationship with Tom,
Yeah.
right, than
Yeah.
anything.
I mean, everyone's a little bit on team Greg, I feel. You know, like he's not a good guy. He's a bad person, but he's a great character.
Oh, I mean, great character, great. I mean,
Yeah.
him and Tom both fantastically acted characters. I think.
Yeah.
And specifically their dynamic together, their sort of like 2-man game is great, right?
Yeah.
And it's so much of the pleasure of the show.
Yeah.
But then I've seen these takes lately that are like, oh, it's a bad thing that the show has good acting because that makes us identify with the characters when we really are identifying with, like, we like the good acting, and then that makes us like these bad characters. And I'm just like, this moral panic about people liking, like, anti-heroes, like, it's like, I feel like we live in, like, the fucking Nietzschean eternal recurrence, where it's like, we did this with Sopranos, we did this with Breaking Bad, we did this with Joker, and now we're doing it with Succession, just like, oh my God, people are like, and I'm like, what do you want? Do you want art to just be this super didactic, simplistic thing? Like,
Yes.
There's no way, like, art does not work in a way. It's such a simplistic propaganda idea of how art works that it's like, oh, if we just make art that tells people the right message, that'll do something. Like, I'm not that interested in that kind of art.
Yeah.
And I don't think Succession has, like, great politics or anything or, like, a great quote-unquote message, but I don't think art that, like, has a quote-unquote message it's transmitting to you is that interesting. Like, particularly now, right? Because, like, that'll just become part of the niche marketplace streaming stuff. It's one thing when you had, like, revolutionaries in the 1960s making, like, Marxist films and showing them in, like, villages in South America to, like, help, you know. But it's, like, when you're just, like, when it's just like, oh, I get to be, like, the leftist guy who signifies that I'm a leftist by liking this Amazon streaming show instead of that Amazon streaming show, like, I don't know.
The sort of product that's going to come out of HBO or Max, that the place to
the place you go to watch HBO or whatever.
Yeah. So that, but like,
which feels like such a thing they would do in Succession too. It's such a meta commentary
in the background. Absolutely. Like you're not gonna get the sort of message if they're gonna whittle it down to that sort of, let's just try and have a very clear message here. The message is going to be very unappealing, I feel, to someone like you or me. Which I feel like I tried to drive this home by showing you the ending scene to The Falcon and the Winter Soldier last night.
That was the worst thing I've ever seen.
Again, there was like a thing they were trying to share, but it's man, the message is going to come out when you filter through the Disney Plus infrastructure to like what this dude is going to say. It's extremely bad.
Yeah, and that, like, the ending of Falcon and Winter Soldier, right, was basically like, I'm a black superhero telling you the existing power structure. You need to do better.
You got to do better.
And it, you know, and me giving a speech makes a material difference, right?
The only power I have is that I believe we can do better. We can't demand that people step up and we don't meet them halfway. You control the banks. Shit, you can move borders. You can knock down a forest with the email. You can feed 1 million people with the phone call. But the question is, who's in the room with you when you're making those decisions? Is it the people you're going to impact? Or is it just more people like you? You've got to do better, Senator. You've got to step up. Look, you people have just as much power as an insane god or a misguided teenager. The question you have to ask yourself is, how are you going to use it?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I think if you're going to give Succession any kind of credit for its political message, I think Succession is very definitive in that all of that shit is hot air. It's like, regardless of all the speeches you're giving in boardrooms or like the little, all the stuff that most of the show consists of at the end is revealed to have not mattered at all because it was pure dollars and cents that won out in the end.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know? And then the guy who was Tom, who was just like, I'm willing to do anything. I'll just do whatever you want.
Oh, you want to fuck
like,
my
okay,
wife?
Yeah, great.
We can work with that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And That like you have something like in the finale of Succession, you have Roman saying like we're shit, and that's and like I think that's about as much monologuing as something like Succession needs, because if you try to do more than that, I think that it's just like what is gonna be what's the monologue at the end of Succession?
Yeah.
You gotta have like Kendall be like, oh well, but maybe. But who actually, when you have success, who actually succeeds?
Oh my God!
Like it could
really good,
only
actually.
be bad,
Yeah,
like it could only ruin the show.
And it's like, what's the idea here? It's like if an actor walks out at the end of Succession and just reads from like, Das Kapital to the people who pay for Max, the streaming service, is that going to make a material difference in the world, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about that, know. And if anything, it's like the message of Succession is that what's going to drive change is like material conditions, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm overstating that. I don't know if it's actually doing the work to do that. But I think it's maybe pointing – I don't know if it's making that claim positively, but I think it is making the opposite, like, negative claim that the media bullshit and the chicanery is not going to make that change. So I don't think it actually gives you the answer of then, like, oh, go out into the streets or whatever. I guess the closest it does to that is when people beat Roman up in, like, the penultimate episode. But that's a little – that was a little canned, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I have, like, mixed feelings on when they tried to bring in the – it was like a amalgamation of the 2016 election and then like the BLM,
like the BLM,
uprising.
like the George Floyd uprisings.
Yeah. So but it's
yeah,
and maybe that, and I think if they would have done any more, it could have only been worse. So like, okay, show the people marching through the street, I guess.
Yeah.
But it
and I think if we zoom out from the finale to this season as a whole, this last season, this season as a whole was doing some of the stuff we just said, oh, thank you, Succession, for not doing, as much as like Falcon and the Winter Soldier does. But like the election episode, I don't know, I thought was bad.
Yeah.
Like, and like all the stuff of like Shiv being like, but if we say it, it might actually happen. Like, know, that was it being like them being like, oh, we need to write an episode about the 2016 election and we need to have something to say. And to me, that's when the show is at its least effective.
Yeah, like you already had the thing with Shiv where when she was with the Bernie Sanders character and the whole like moral dilemma she felt that she had between that work and her role as a Roy. Like you already had that whole fake dilemma that she was like, it didn't necessarily feel earned that where she's going to grandstand in that. It's like, well, let's not. Come on. Let's stop fucking around.
I had a poetry professor in undergrad who's a good friend now, Kimberly Andrews. Shout out to her. She co-edited my Nick Cage thing at Post 45 with me.
Excellent.
She would talk about this like when we were writing poems in undergrad, and she would talk about something called get off the stage syndrome. Which is sort of this compulsion you feel at the end of the poem to make some kind of grand statement, where you're like, you've been doing like a poem that's just about a small moment, and then you have to be like, and that's when I learned that life was finite or something, like, because you're like, I need to end the poem, and I feel like I need to end with some kind of big. I feel like Succession was getting into that a bit, and it led to some of these, and I feel like Shiv especially, they kind of would use to be like, oh, well, you're like the kind of liberal one, so we're going to force you to have these like emotional reactions that haven't necessarily been earned by the writing, because I didn't really think her turn against Kendall was earned either.
No, I agree with you. What did your professor call it?
Get off the stage syndrome.
You know what it almost makes me think?
What's that?
We were trying to. I'm gonna cut out all the details. We were trying to find an old song from college, and what I instead found was Devin a message he had sent me during undergrad in 2009. And it was on like AOL Instant Messenger. And I won't read, he sent me a whole poem. But you did ask, when you have some time, tell me, last line, I hate you or I love you.
Oh my God. I should be arrested. I should be put in jail for the rest of my life. Like, you should be able to call, like, under a just world government, when we finally have, like, the green Stalin, like, you should be able to just, like, make a brief phone call and then I disappear off the face of the planet. The show is just called, like, I'm tall. I'm airbrushed out of the avatar. Like, what are you talking about? This has just always been the show where I, a tall man, come on and talk about my takes on pop culture.
Yes. But again, you spoke to how maybe what Shiv was doing was not particularly earned. Let's talk about the finale because we've been sort of getting
we've
a
been talking
broader
a little more
theme, sort of
generally,
getting into it. But yes, so there was the finale. We're not going to go through a plot summary because if you're watching an episode about the finale of Succession, like you don't need
presumably
to
watched it.
Yeah, but maybe Devin, start us off with just what is your general takeaway from the finale? Like, how are you feeling coming out of the finale?
Yeah, I mean, I think like
you've been watching. Did you watch like from the beginning when it first came out?
Not from the beginning. It was like something like I think I watched 3 and 4 as they were coming out. You know, like I started watching like partway through season 2, so I watched like the first season and a half real quickly.
Yeah. Okay. Hold up, dogs. Okay.
So our dogs have decided to reenact the finale of Succession live. This is the final. This is the Tom Greg fight.
Yeah.
All right. So what was I talking about?
So.
I watched. I started watching during like either season 2 or season 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched like the first half or so really quickly.
Yeah.
And then since season 3, pretty much I've been. Maybe it was even season 1 I just watched all fast, but I've mostly watched it like as it comes out every week.
Okay.
You know,
thoughts on the finale? Sorry. Go if you had more.
Well, I was going to say was like, which is a very different way of watching it than what you experienced, and I did feel like sometimes like I struggled just to like because it's a pretty subtle show a lot of the time, and I've just like struggled to like remember certain things. Like you pointed out to me how like the drink that Roman is drinking, like the martini or whatever at the end in the finale, is like Jerry's drink of choice.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of thematic resonance to that. But that was like a while ago. I feel like that was established. So like I was just like, oh, he's drinking a martini. That's a drink he would drink, you know. So like I'm definitely like missing things because of that.
Yeah.
And I'm not that, you know, as attentive of a viewer as some people. But, you know, I have to say, because I've been pretty down on season 4 overall, I have to say. I feel like I understand why they had to kill off Brian Cox, and I think it makes sense that they didn't. Obviously, if the longer you wait to kill off Brian Cox, it like gets to. You would have gotten to a point where it's like, I know it's happening in the finale or something, right?
Yeah, and I do like how they did it and when they did it. They did it fairly early in the season. I think they've described it as like an anti-Shakespearean death, you know. So it's just which they talked about how that kind of captures the way that death often happens in the modern world, where it's like you get a text, you get a call. Somebody who lives 1,000 miles away is dead now, and like you're only getting secondary information through all of that. And so I thought that was actually really I don't know what word I would use. It's not. I loved it.
It's affecting.
It's
it's
exactly.
affecting. Like I found it very like affecting, and I think it was a good decision of how to do that death that had to happen at some point narratively.
Well, because to me, it also again. It demythologizes the Logan Roy character. That's not like, oh, he's gonna die right at this pivotal thing, and like it's all, you know, Shakespearean. But it's like, no, he's a fucking dude, and he's dead.
Yeah, he's gonna, you know.
Yeah, he's not a god. He's just a guy who died in the shitter on an airplane.
Yeah. You know, so I found that quite affecting. I do feel like his absence has kind of loomed over the season. Like,
sure.
It hasn't always been working for me that well, but I have to say, I like really enjoyed the finale, and I was pretty happy with it. Like, I did think like the Shiv betrayal in the boardroom scene, I wish that had been more earned a little bit. It felt to me like it, especially when she like turns to like his complicity in the death of that guy as her reasoning.
Yeah.
I felt like that wasn't seeded, you know, enough. But I could understand the alternate read of someone being like, this is part of like the realism of the show, is that you wouldn't necessarily see external manifestations of that.
Yeah.
You know, but overall, I think like, you know, like in terms of like, it was a very difficult show to like tie a bow on because it's like you said, it's about an ongoing system of capitalism. And I think overall being like, yeah, nope, it's just being acquired by the tech guy. Despite all of his like his various flaws were not enough to stop him, right? His sexual harassment, his blood bricks, his, you know, whatever. And then the CEO is just going to be like Tom, the, you know, the guy who's just willing to do anything. And like that image of him and Shiv in the limo at the end with that like that handshake that or not handshake that holding of hands that like is only semi consummated was I thought such a great visual encapsulation of their relationship, right?
Good
where it's like
hand
I'm gonna put my hand on your hand, but we're not gonna actually like clasp hands.
Yeah.
You know, I found that all pretty effective.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, like Kendall has to, like narratively, like Kendall has to fail, right? And we get those final shots of him. I don't feel bad for him, you know.
I don't feel bad for
at all.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
but it's like, to me, that's the moment where it's like, oh, I've spent this entire show thinking I'm the protagonist of a, like, you know, a Wall Street style movie.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing I'm like a minor character in a movie that's about capital. You know, it's like how Marx talks about how like whenever I talk about the capitalist, I'm not talking about a guy. I'm talking about the many, many, many people who at different moments like personify capital in their specific, but capital does not care who the fuck personifies it, right? And so, like, I think that's kind of what he has to reckon with, and like, I don't really give a fuck what happens to him. He's a terrible person.
And I don't know the extent to which he's actually grappling with it in those terms.
Yeah.
But
no, I think. Well, and I think that's the thing is like, but I think that's the thing is right. Is like, even though that guy's an avatar of capital, like, it would be dishonest for the show to make him aware of that, right?
Sure, yeah.
Because he's like, for him, he experiences his life as an individual.
Yeah.
And thinks he's the main character in his own life, which I think I'm the main character in my life, right? So I'm like, I buy this. I don't need him to have some fucking big revelation about himself. It's just like, no, man, like, you were something for the system for a time, and then you weren't, and now there's nothing for you. You're just, you know, and it's like, God, you have to deal with the fact of, like, being a millionaire. That sounds fucking terrible.
Billionaire.
Like, billion, yeah, but this is the thing that drives me crazy, is, like, none of these characters, right, can imagine just, like, retiring and being billionaires.
Yeah.
Even Frank and Carl at the end, they're like, golden parachute, and it's like, what about one last rodeo? But then we also hear Tom being like, oh, I'm firing those guys as soon as I can. It's like, you know, everyone is a fucking rube for this system, but you probably have to be a rube for the system to get to that point, I guess. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I largely agree with you, and I enjoyed the finale. I would maybe like a slight devil's advocate on some of the pieces you're saying, like with regards to Shiv and her turn at the end and all of that piece, because I agree, I was sort of caught off guard by it. I see how it narratively had to happen, but again, it's like that is her like she's again the character that is working for the Bernie Sanders campaign, but is like justifying when she is and isn't, and sort of sees herself removed from that. So she is a bad person, but she always frames what she's doing as if it's like this liberal justification of like, I'm actually the good apple trying to
absolutely
adjust the course of the ship. And so her then bringing up the death for me is like, well, she doesn't actually care about that. That's just like a way she's going to frame.
That's a good read, yeah.
Frame this, but at the end, like, she's the only one with even any connection to the company at the end, in that like it's her husband. Now it is like this patriarchal aspect that like she's just married to the CEO, and I think like I'm sure I haven't had time to digest it, but thinking about just like the fucked up ways of like the way that it goes from like the Logan Roys to the fucking fucking Toms of the world,
the Wobshams.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, it's in any sense that it could be was I guess a play for her, because what have her siblings done for her the rest of the season? They just locked her out.
Yeah.
So, you know, I could see it if I'm just thinking about it. It could make sense to me, and that like, yeah, it sort of seems to come out of nowhere because she needs to make up an excuse.
Yeah.
To make herself be absolved of the you know, that she's self-centered.
Yeah. No, and I like that read, because like the thing that characterizes Shiv, right, is like she is the character who, partially because of like, you know, because of gendered reasons, right, doesn't get to occupy the same kind of character space that a Kendall does. So it's not that she's a better person, but it's like the avenue to significance for her is this moralistic path, whereas Kendall tries to take the path of like, I'm like effective. It's like effectiveness. I'm an effective business guy, right?
Yeah.
And Roman's kind of like a different flavor of that. But, as you say, it's not so much that it's like, yeah, an authentic moralism, so much as it's like, I have defined myself as the person who does things for moral reasons. So whatever the action I want to take for my material interests is, I will find the moral justification for that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And all of these characters can, again, in this like 21st century media space where there's infinite amount of information about anything that's all fake and conflicting, right? Every character can find infinite amounts of information to back up whatever they want to believe. And it's really about what do they choose they want to believe, not like what actual information do they acquire, which is part of why I think like the plot in this show is always kind of like impenetrable and uninteresting somewhat. It's like that thing where it's like, you were saying like I think there's some viral tweet where it's like, what about 6? And then, someone's like 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is because it's like, that's what's really going on, right? Is there's this capitalist machine running, and then everyone else is just, they're fucking like dumb fuck brain psychologies, right? Are just searching for narratives to give them a way of conceiving of themselves that doesn't result in them throwing themselves off a skyscraper.
Yeah. But I do think, just circling back to how it sort of played out with Tom as the CEO, I wasn't expecting that. It doesn't like surprise me, but I wasn't expecting that, which maybe is the way to go with it, because when you think about it, it's, again, in some regards, first off, you have Logan Roy, who seems really tuned into capital in a way that none of his kids are.
Yeah, in like an almost embodied way, right?
Yeah,
like he gets like hunches.
Yeah,
he
and so like
guts.
he always seemed to somehow get Tom. Like Tom was literally the first person when he died that was in there that found his corpse on the shitter. He was on the plane with him at the end there. But again, Tom is a guy who, if you want to call it a lucky break, it was a circumstance that he met Shiv and they got married, and then from that circumstance, because he is just a replaceable cog that will do whatever needs to be done, but it like generally is like, oh yeah, no, I just like fire people to save money, give you the revenue, and whatever the masses want for the news, the Fox News, I'm gonna do that. Then he's like, of course he's gonna be the CEO, perhaps like because of his unremarkableness in that regard.
Yeah.
But that to me is maybe the choice that obviously makes the most sense. Not because it's good in any sense of, I think, what you and I would think, but it makes sense within that capitalist system, that this like continuation of just this dude. And I almost appreciate it in that it's not this hereditary thing. It's not some meritocracy. It's not any of this. It's just like he's fulfilling the role of perpetuating this whole machine going forward in a way that kind of sweeps everybody sooner or later
absolutely
under the waves.
Yeah, capitalism is like this like ghost, and it will find the bodies to inhabit it needs at a given time, right? But it doesn't really care who it is. Yeah, Spectre, I guess. Yeah. There's a better Spectre, I hope. And like dumb counterexample, right? But thinking about like there can be these like exceptional figures within capitalism, right? But they can't be the CEO of Waystar, Royco, right? It's like, I'm thinking of like, as a real life example, the guy behind Arizona Iced Tea, right? Who's like this eccentric guy who was just really into like, I want it to still be 99 cents or whatever.
Yeah.
And Arizona Iced Tea just like loses money, like, well, not loses money, but they're making less money over time.
Yeah.
Due to this idiosyncratic commitment to costing 99 cents.
Yeah.
And they do these different exploits to try to keep their like profit margins down, right? But like they are necessarily exceptional, right?
And it's like not going to. It's not going to end well. I feel
exactly. Well, it's just kind of like it's just the profit rate declining, right?
Yeah.
But it's like you can have right, and like this is I think a problem sometimes people make when they read Marx and they're like they just go immediately. Like I encounter this with students a lot, where the liberal brain just immediately reaches for the exceptions.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. Like, Marx is describing how a system works.
Right.
And the idea is that the system overall produces certain kind of results. And, like, Tom is the ultimate, overall produced result person. Like, he's just like that. Whereas it's like, yeah, various companies will have at any given time idiosyncratic CEOs like a Kendall or a Shiv or a Roman. But the ultimate process of capitalism overall, right, is going to tend toward the Toms.
Yeah.
The smoothing of everything,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: when you get in charge of a company, and then you're like, I'm going to run this company different. Well, you're going to lose money. Shareholders are going to be mad. This is why you can't overturn capitalism by being like a woke CEO, right?
Yeah. You listening, Target?
But yeah, but this is the thing, right? This is like sort of the world that Secession depicts, right? It's like that bullshit superstructural world that of media discourse that is all we get to think of is real, right?
Yeah.
And actual reality takes place completely outside of the bounds of Succession.
Yeah.
We get barely a glimpse of it throughout the entire show, right? Because these people never interact with people,
No.
at all.
Yeah.
Everything's always pre-prepared. They always walk into these rooms where there's just food on plates and these very procured ways. And I saw someone again, speaking of the discourse, I saw someone being like, "Oh, it's bad that this show depicts how great it is to be rich." And I was like, everything I've ever seen in this show looks completely soulless and dead.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah, they don't have these material wants, but they're not they're not having a good time either. What comes to mind is the one scene where they go to the home in, I don't know, Connecticut, I'm just gonna assume. And
the summer home or whatever.
Yeah, and they don't like all the food is because there's a rotten animal in the chimney, so then they literally throw all of that food out and order pizza in and shit like that. So yeah, it's gross.
Absolutely.
So they're all bad, and I'm glad that bad things happen to them. But again, did bad things happen to them? Because they're all just billionaires.
They're all just
I don't have a purpose in life. The purpose being the guy that doesn't actually do things, but I get to feel like I'm doing a thing.
Yeah. Can you imagine if our main problem was having a purpose in life instead of being how am I gonna make money?
Well, and our solution to that problem was I'm gonna be the guy that says what about 7? That's that's how we're trying to fill that purpose that we want to see in life. Yeah, it's they're bad people.
Yeah, but the thing is I don't want to take the liberal reconciliation of being oh, but they're unhappy. It's they're gonna be fine.
Oh yeah, no, they're fucking that that's the bad outcome for them is they are billionaires. I'm sure they'll. We already saw the tweets about how AI is going to tell the next story of all of the characters. But the characters are fine. So fuck them.
Absolutely. Fuck them. All right, Ethan. So there's only one more thing left to do.
Yeah, what is that?
So I have prompted our friend ChatGPT to give us a screenplay for a season 5 of Succession because we can't possibly end it here.
That's great. This is just the tweet that says that the future is AI generated.
Exactly.
Okay,
so we're gonna get a taste here of what our AI generated future art is like. And the exact prompt was, please write a screenplay for the first episode of Succession Season 5, telling us what happens, and I want to be very specific here, to Kendall, Shiv, and Roman after the Season 4 finale. And
That's what we all want to know.
ChatGPT has titled this episode, Succession Season 5, Episode 1, The Aftermath. Pretty
Wow.
good title.
That's, yeah, there
A
you go.
plausible title.
Oh, yeah,
Feels like what it could be called.
Yeah.
And we are going to do, we have not read this.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to give a live reading of this screenplay to close out this episode.
Okay. Interior, Waystar Royco boardroom. Day. The tension is palpable as Kendall, Shiv, and Roman gather in the boardroom, facing off against each other. The room is filled with a mix of anticipation, resentment, and uncertainty following the explosive events of the Season 4 finale. Is that how they phrase screenplays?
That is typically how screenplays are written.
Okay. The fate of the Roy family's media empire, Waystar Royco, hangs in the balance. Kendall, still reeling from his failed coup attempt, sits at the head of the table. He's determined to regain control and prove himself to his father, Logan Roy.
Whoa!
His face bears the weight of recent struggles, but his resolve remains unbroken. Shiv enters the room, exuding a newfound confidence. Her marriage to Tom has suffered, but she is determined to make her mark and secure her position within the company. She glances at Kendall, a mixture of resentment and ambition in her eyes. Roman, typically the jester of the group, appears unusually somber. His loyalty to his father and the company has been shaken, but deep down, he knows he can't escape the family legacy. He takes his seat, ready to prove his worth. Oh, no. Okay, I read a little ahead here. Okay. I'd watch it. Okay. The door swings open, and Logan Roy strides in.
Dun, dun, dun.
An aura of dominance surrounding him. His presence commands attention, and everyone's eyes fixate on him. I'm sure they would. Okay.
Well, well, well. Look at what we have here. My children, the Three Musketeers. Back for another round.
I'm not finished yet, Dad. I have ideas, plans.
You've already proven yourself unworthy. But I'm willing to hear you out, Kendall. Let's see if you've learned anything from your mistakes.
Kendall takes a deep breath, summoning all his courage, and begins outlining his vision for the future of Waystar Royco. The room listens intently. Even Logan, who's dead, by the way. Even Logan, who shows a flicker of intrigue. Shiv and Roman exchange wary glances. Shiv, determined to seize control, decides to reveal her own proposal, sparking a heated debate among the siblings.
Just want to say, normal part of a screenplay would be giving dialogue for all this stuff. This isn't usually the more stage direction part is like he opens a door.
Yeah.
He sits down in a chair.
Their sibling rivalry intensifies with sharp words and jabs exchanged. And this is between, wow, they're all here. Okay, go on.
Enough! This is my company, my legacy. None of you will ruin it.
The tension reaches its peak as Logan storms out of the room, leaving the siblings stunned and unsure of their next move. So again, no one's addressing the fact that Logan has been dead for quite some time at this point. He's back, and I mean, he has a commanding presence, so...
And also, seemingly, the deal from the final episode didn't go through.
Okay.
We continue. Interior, Waystar Royco office. Later. Not sure what time of day it is.
Later.
Kendall, Shiv, and Roman gather in Kendall's office, still processing the aftermath of their confrontations.
We need to find a way to work together. Dad won't hand over the reins easily, but we can't tear each other apart either.
Shiv and Roman exchange hesitant glances, realizing the truth in Kendall's words.
Maybe it's time we form a united front. Show Dad that we're stronger together than apart. Roman nods in agreement, his usual sarcasm momentarily absent.
Fine. Let's give it a shot, but remember, I'm only doing this for the company.
The siblings share a moment of unity, a glimmer of hope shining through their fractured relationship. Fade out.
Well, the WGA strike is fucked.
Wow. I'm blown away.
I have nothing else to say. Just like, man, I can't wait to ask it to make episode 2 of season 5.
Yeah.
But if you want to hear that, you're going to have to keep listening to You're Tall, But I'm Standing in Front of You. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. We'll be back soon to continue our World War II miniseries with an episode on Saving Private Ryan, featuring a good friend of the show, Mike Opal. As always, you can follow the show at Your Tall Pod, follow Ethan at Mathesippi, and follow me at Stale Cooper. And, maybe just stop listening and just, have ChatGPT write the episodes for you.
What do you think I've been doing?
That's all we've been doing since day one. It's like
Devin isn't real, folks. I think I need to come clean here. Yeah.
I'm like your Ultron. You're just lonely.
We're actually 2 AI bots talking back and forth to one another, but we don't realize the other is an AI bot. Yeah. That's the future right there.
Yeah. Future's bright.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. See y'all next time.